Well, hello everybody, Jamie the Board Game Man, and today we are going vintage once again, back to the year 1971 by Parker Brothers. It is a 3 or 4 player game, even though you can play 2 players with this, but 3 or 4 is a lot better. It is Landslide. Now this one is a political game, but has nothing to do with being on one side or the other, all that good stuff. It's just a good, wholesome game where you're trying to get electoral votes for each one of the states. Whoever has the most electoral votes after all the states have been taken wins the game. So let's head on over to the gamers table. I'm going to show you how to play Landslide. All right, everybody, here we are at the gaming table with Landslide. Let's take a peek. All right, so here we go with the game board. And you can see we have sections of West, South, East, and Midwest. You also have the corresponding cards with the states that are in those areas. The states are designated by the colors here. So you can see all the blue here goes for the West. This kind of, I don't know what kind of shade this is, like a grayish, I guess, kind of color. Goes with Midwest. You got the South down here, and you got the East up here. You also have politics cards. They're kind of like chance cards. You kind of, you read what it says, or you might want to keep it for a future use. You also have votes, and these are kind of your currency in the game, where you use these popular votes to get these states. You also have 4 playing pieces right here, and you also have a die. The object of the game is you want to get the most votes, or you want to get the most electoral votes in the game once all the states have been taken, along with Washington, D.C. So there's actually 51 of them in here. D.C. is also one in here, so there's not just 50, there's 51 in here. And like I said, the object of the game is when all these are taken, you want to be the one that has the most electoral votes. Okay, now, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and choose your home state. That's going to be the next thing you're going to do. If you want to have West as your home state or Midwest, whatever it is, we'll do a little 2-player game here. So we'll just do the blue and the yellow since they're across from each other. We'll put these 2 away, back in the box. Okay, so now, we'll put these aside over here. Okay, so the yellow is going to correspond with the West, and the blue will correspond with the East. And then you're going to go ahead and roll the die, see who rolls highest, and whoever rolls the highest goes first. Now let's go ahead and go over these little circles here. These are the spaces you go around. If you have win votes, obviously what you do is you're going to take a vote card. Okay, these vote cards, let me go ahead and show you these, are in increments of 250,000. So you'll see here you got 250,000. Actually, you have one for 5 million here, which is pretty big. 500,000, 2 million, 1 million, 1 million, 250,000, and so on. So they come in increments of 250,000 votes. Each player is going to start off with 5. So you can have 5 over here in blue, 5 over here in yellow. Okay. So when you land, like I said, if you land on a win votes, all that happens there is you draw 1 vote card from the top of the pile, and that's it. That's all that happens on that. If you land on a state space in that corresponding area, so you can see there's a blue state, there's 2 blue states here in the West, 2 right here in the South, and so on. If you land on any one of these states, let's just say the blue here, what you do is you're going to pick up the West. In this case, it'd be West. I would pick up this card, I would look at it, and then I would place it face down, and now it goes up for auction. So everyone's going to use the votes that they have in their hand, and they're going to go ahead and start an auction. I want to give 250,000 votes. This person, I want to do 500,000. Okay, I want to do 750,000. Okay, you take it. Now, since I landed on that space, my votes would go back in the stack. So say I paid 750,000, like I just bid. Okay, there we go. So I would take my 750,000 votes and I'd place it into the vote stack, and then you would reshuffle. You go ahead and reshuffle these every single time that happens. Okay, and so on. There we go. Okay, so you go ahead and do that. Now, if this player had won, say he had voted 1 million votes, and I said, go ahead and take it, he would pay me the 1 billion votes because I landed on that space. So if I win my own auction, if I landed on it and I win it, the votes go back into the stack. If the opposing player gets it, then they pay you. Okay, that's how that works. Then I would flip it over until I have 9 electoral votes, and now I have the lead over here with 9. Okay. What you want to do is that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to get as many electoral votes as you can in this game, and then that is it for that. So I went ahead and spent my votes, I reshuffled, and I have the 9 electoral votes here. Then we're going to go ahead and continue. Now, if at any time you need more votes, what you can do is you have here, it says 900,000 votes. You can actually use this card if you are in a bind and you really need you want to get a state that's much bigger in the electoral votes, then you can use this for 900,000 votes and then what would happen is this would actually go back into the West pile, and these votes will be used, and they'll be up for grabs once again later on in the game. It'll go on the bottom of the stack. But in this case, that's probably not going to happen very often because you do get a lot of vote cards in this game, and I mean they're like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, so you probably won't have to do that. But I just wanted to tell you why that shows on there, because you could use this in lieu of your vote cards, okay? Probably don't want to do that because you want to try to get as many votes as you can, electoral votes as you can. So I put that face up in front of me. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next one. If you land on your home state, by exact count, you get to draw 2 vote cards. So this would be 101 million, 1.5 million votes. I would be able to grab 2. If I go and just kind of pass by it, then I get 1 vote card only, okay? So that's what happens when you pass it. So it's almost, just like in Billionaire, in the game Billionaire, where if you landed on your space exactly, then you get 2, and if you go bypass it, you get 1. Same in that game, okay? Let's go over the politics. If you land on a politics card, okay, all you do is you're just going to grab the politic card, and you're going to read it to yourself, and if it's something you're going to hold on for later, you don't want to read it. You just keep it in front of you, face down, and you're good to go. If it's something you're going to use immediately, you go ahead and read it out loud, everybody. Fly anywhere. Use instead of throwing die at start of any of your own turns. Now, the fly anywhere, we'll go ahead and go over that space right now since it's been brought up. Fly anywhere. There is 2 of them on the board. When you land on this, obviously, or if you get a card, in this instance, you can go anywhere on the board except for 2 spaces on the board. I don't know why, but you can't land on another fly anywhere space, which wouldn't make any sense. Or you cannot land on your own home state. That is another area you cannot land on. So that's one area you cannot use when you go on fly anywhere, is another fly anywhere space or your own home state. Okay? All right. Now we're going to go up to open ballot. This is a big one. If you land on open ballot, okay, the player may, if he wishes, contest a state in a possession of another player. Let's just say this player had Connecticut, let's go Midwest card, and Iowa. If I landed on, let's just say I landed on an open ballot over here, and maybe he's over here, I can contest, okay, Connecticut, I contest. I don't think you got that. So what they'll do is this all of a sudden goes up for bids. It goes back up for auction. All right? So that's what's cool about that. And, of course, the bidding goes as normal. Whoever gets the highest bid gets that state. So that state can eventually go over to another player. So that's how that works on the open ballot. The biggest one on here, I would say, is the secret ballot. Dun, dun, dun. If you go to secret ballot, you grab 1 of each card. Nobody looks at it. You grab 1 of each card, and you do an auction. This one's probably going to cost you a few votes, because now you have 4 states up for auction. Everyone goes back and forth, and of course, same as always, if you're the one that landed on that, and someone else gets it, you get those votes. So that is a big one. Same thing applies. If I landed on it and I won, then of course the votes would go back in the stack. Otherwise, the votes go over to that player. And you can see right here, whoever ended up winning it, let's see who they got. Kansas, Tennessee, Montana, and West Virginia. Actually, got kind of a lower end here, so I don't know. He kind of got a little shafted there. I think that was 27. I mean, it's not a bad amount. Not bad at all. And then, of course, he would put these face up in front of him, like so. I don't think you have to sort them out, but it's kind of nice if you do. Just like so. Okay. And that is pretty much the game. Like I said, you're going around trying to get as many of these electoral votes as you can, and the player who ends up winning the game is, after all these cards have been taken, you tally up all your votes, and whoever has the most votes wins the game. And that, my friends, is Landslide. So let's head on over to the game room, and I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, so my final thoughts on Landslide. Definitely get this game if you can. This is a great game. I do like that it doesn't pull one way or the other. Whether you're on one side or the other, it doesn't matter. All you're doing is getting the electoral votes from the states. That's all you're doing in this game. I love the way you go around in the circles, trying to get these votes that act as currency, which is kind of cool, to get the electoral votes for the states. So that's pretty cool how they do that. And I love a good auction game. You know, you have a good auction game. Something about auction games are really, really fun, especially when you do have 3 or 4 players. It does say 3 or 4, but you can play 2. I mean, you could definitely, there's no problem taking 2, but 3 or 4, you got a real auction going on when you have 3 or 4 players. Whereas just 2, you're just kind of going back and forth, but it still works. So if you only usually play 2-player games, this will definitely work as well. I also like the secret ballot, which is really great, where you take one of each thing, one of each of the areas, and then the bidding really gets crazy because now you have 4 states up for bids, and that is great too. I do like that the process is very, very similar to Billionaire. When, you know, if you land on the space, you win the bidding, it goes into back into the stack. If player 2 lands on it and I win it, then I pay player 2 the funds. That's exactly the way Billionaire was, which I just did an episode or 2 ago. So I noticed that right away. I'm like, wow, this is the exact same mechanic that they have in Billionaire. Very same, where you land on a certain state, you pick up the card, you look at it, and then everyone bids. And then if you win your own, then it goes into the stack. If somebody else wins it, then they pay you. Identical. So I know all about that mechanic all too well. And if you love Billionaire and you love that mechanic, this is the same exact one, except it doesn't have the magic slates. That'd be kind of cool to introduce magic slates in here too. That'd be kind of cool. But I know you have your cards in this case, but you have the cards as well, and Billionaire too. So they both have cards that they use for currency. There's Billionaire was profit. In this one, you have the vote cards, and those count as your currency, so to speak. And you just keep going around until you get that all the states are taken up, and you just count them all up. It's a great, great game. It's very easy to teach, which is great. You can see how fast. It didn't take me too long to do the tutorial. It's pretty self-explanatory, and it's cool as it has the big insert inside, and it goes over each one of these. So in case maybe you do forget, you look right at it, and it's a very brief little explanation on what each space does. So that's great that it's also an insert and not a paper instruction, because especially vintage games, those paper instructions can fly away. And I also like about the board is it's not a foldable board. That's the way it is. That's why the box is a little big. Well, actually not really big. It's long, actually, just because this doesn't fold. I think maybe if they folded it, you'd have a much smaller box, but that's okay. I mean, you don't need to fold it. It looks great the way it is because you don't need a real big board in this one. But I like the way it looks too. I love the way you got the states there. You got the circles going around it. Very simple, not too complex at all. Very easy to read. Everything's nice and big. So if you have some seeing, you can't see very well, you can definitely see on this board. Everything is nice and big and colorful, and you could totally take it out and have no problem seeing it. I do like the way if you land on your own home state, just like in Billionaire, if you pass your thing, you get 1. If you land right on it, it's 2. Same identical thing. So very, very interesting indeed. All right, well, that's my review on Landslide. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Let me know, as always, your thoughts on the game. Whether you have it, don't have it, would be interested in getting it. I would definitely get it. It does go for a few bucks. I know I actually found this at a... where did I get? I think this was in a lot that I bought. Not too long before I left California, there was a couple lots that people were just trying to get rid of the games because they were moving. And this is before I knew I was moving to Tennessee. And they said, you know what, I just want to sell them all. I don't want to sell them singular. I just want to sell them all in one shot. And this was in it. And I was very glad when I opened it, everything was complete. Everything was in there. All the pieces were in there, even down to the die and the playing pieces. Everything was in there, so I was very happy about that. So, but if you can find it, I would definitely get it. I mean, it does go for a few dollars, and I mean, I wouldn't pay any more than maybe, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 bucks for it. I think it might be a little too high for that, but it is a good game, and if you can find it for a decent price, definitely get it. And I don't want to forget to give this the thumbs up meter, because it definitely deserves a thumbs up meter. All right. Well, thank you once again. As I said before, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support. And until next time, everybody, happy gaming.